The hidden technology of ancient Egypt. Evidence beyond pyramids. Think the ancient Egyptians were just pyramid-building, cat-worshipping folks who wrote in fancy pictures? Think again. While we're struggling with IKEA furniture instructions, these ancient innovators were performing brain surgery, crafting batteries, and potentially harnessing electricity, all without YouTube tutorials. The ancient Egyptians weren't just ahead of their time. They were so advanced that some folks think aliens must have helped them. Spoiler alert, no green men needed, just incredibly clever humans who'd be shocked to see us shocked about their shocking achievements. When we talk about ancient Egypt, the conversation usually revolves around mummies, pharaohs, and those triangular architectural show-offs in Giza. But behind the gold masks and elaborate tombs was a civilization of problem solvers and innovators who developed technologies so advanced that some remained unsurpassed for thousands of years. Today, we're diving into the workshop of ancient Egyptian innovation, beyond the pyramids, to discover how these ancient geniuses were engineering, healing, and inventing their way to greatness while the rest of the world was still figuring out basic agriculture. Buckle up, history buffs and conspiracy theorists alike. This technological time travel might just blow your modern minds. Engineering marvels beyond the pyramids. Let's start with the obvious elephant in the desert. Yes, the pyramids are mind-boggling achievements. Over 2 million stone blocks, some weighing as much as 80 tons, stacked with mathematical precision that would make modern engineers sweat through their degrees. But that's just the tourist brochure version of Egyptian ingenuity. While other civilizations were praying for rain, Egyptians were building nilometers, sophisticated structures to measure and predict the Nile's flooding. Think of them as the original weather forecasters, except actually accurate. These precision instruments helped them prepare for floods and droughts, essentially inventing the concept of resource management, while everyone else was still at the mercy of nature's mood swings. But wait, there's more. Their water clocks, clepsydras, measured time using the regulated flow of water through a small hole in a vessel. These weren't just simple hourglasses. They accounted for seasonal variations in water viscosity and had calibration marks for different months. That's right, they had to adjust their time-keeping technology for water physics. Meanwhile, in 2025, we still show up late blaming traffic. The Egyptian solar boats weren't just fancy pharaoh taxis. They represented pinnacles of shipbuilding technology. These vessels were constructed without nails, using sophisticated rope-tying techniques and dovetail joints that created hulls that could flex without breaking. Modern boat builders still study these techniques today, proving that sometimes the latest innovation is actually 5,000 years old. And speaking of things that float, the Egyptians built massive obelisks weighing hundreds of tons, transported them on specialized barges, and erected them without modern cranes. When the Romans later wanted to move Egyptian obelisks to Rome, they had to build the largest ships ever constructed in antiquity just to transport a single monument. Talk about setting a high bar for the moving industry. Medical technology that would impress today's doctors. Imagine needing brain surgery in 2500 BCE. Terrifying, right? Yet the Edwin Smith Papyrus details cranial surgery procedures, so advanced that they recognized the relationship between brain injuries and bodily functions, something European medicine wouldn't figure out for another 3,500 years. Egyptian surgeons performed trepanation, drilling holes in the skull to relieve pressure, with survival rates that would be respectable even by modern standards. Evidence shows patients lived for years after these procedures, which means their understanding of sterilization and post-operative care must have been remarkably sophisticated. Ancient Egyptian WebMD was apparently more advanced than we thought. While medieval Europeans were still treating headaches with leeches, Egyptian physicians had already developed a pharmacopoeia of over 700 medicinal substances. They created pills, ointments, suppositories, and even medicated tampons for gynecological treatments. Their pain management was particularly advanced. They used compounds from the opium poppy and cannabis for anesthesia during surgeries and utilized willow bark, containing salicylic acid, the active ingredient in aspirin, for pain relief. That's right, Egyptians invented take 2 papyrus scrolls and call me in the morning, thousands of years before modern pharmaceuticals. Archaeological discoveries have revealed wooden and leather prosthetic toes with wear patterns proving they weren't just burial accessories. They were functional devices that helped amputees walk. These aren't crude attachments either. They feature articulated joints and custom-fitted attachments that show an understanding of biomechanics. Their dental work would make modern orthodontists raise an impressed eyebrow. Evidence shows they performed complex dental procedures, including drilling teeth to drain abscesses and creating bridge work using gold wire to attach replacement teeth. Apparently, the original tooth fairy was an Egyptian dentist with some serious skills. Chemical technologies that still baffle scientists. Long before Blue Man Group was a thing, Egyptians created the world's first synthetic pigment, Egyptian blue. This vibrant blue pigment was created through a complex chemical process requiring precise temperature control and ingredient ratios. So stable is this color that it still hasn't faded after 4,000 plus years, while your modern t-shirt starts looking sad after 5 washes. What's truly mind-blowing? Scientists recently discovered this pigment has unusual luminescent properties that make it valuable for modern security inks and medical imaging. That's right. Ancient Egyptian artists were accidentally creating quantum dot technology while painting cat murals. Makes your Instagram filters seem a bit less impressive, doesn't it? Everyone knows about Egyptian mummification, but the chemistry behind it remains partially mysterious even to modern science. Their preservation techniques were so effective that we can still identify diseases, blood types, and genetic information from mummies thousands of years later. The real kicker? Some compounds used in their embalming mixtures show antibacterial properties that scientists are now studying for modern medical applications. Imagine developing a new antibiotic based on a recipe from people who thought scarab beetles were sacred. That's like finding the cure for cancer in a cereal box toy. Here's where things get truly wild. The so-called Baghdad battery, actually found in Parthian-era Iraq but similar to Egyptian technology, consists of a ceramic pot containing a copper cylinder and iron rod, essentially creating a galvanic cell capable of generating electricity. Similar vessels have been found in Egyptian contexts, leading some researchers to suggest they understood some principles of electricity. Could the elaborate gold-plated objects in Egyptian tombs have been electroplated using these early batteries? Did the conspicuous absence of soot in some deep, elaborate tombs indicate electric lighting rather than torches? While mainstream archaeology remains skeptical, the technical feasibility has been demonstrated by replicating these devices. Perhaps those glowing hieroglyphics in adventure movies weren't so far-fetched after all. Astronomical precision that defies explanation. While other civilizations were barely keeping track of seasons, Egyptians developed a 365-day calendar, so accurate that it's essentially the grandfather of our modern calendar. They divided the day into 24 hours, giving us our current time system. That's right. Every time you check your phone for the time, you're essentially using Egyptian technology. Their astronomical calculations were precise enough to align massive structures with celestial events and specific stars. The Great Pyramids shafts align with specific stars important in Egyptian cosmology, while temples like Karnak feature solar alignments that mark solstices and equinoxes with spotlight precision. Imagine building something the size of a skyscraper that catches the light of a specific star on one particular day of the year, without computers, laser levels, or even steel measuring tapes. Egyptian star clocks used the movement of specific star groups to tell time at night with surprising accuracy. Their astronomical ceiling decorations weren't just pretty pictures. They were functional celestial maps that tracked the movement of constellations throughout the year. Perhaps most impressively, they understood the concept of precession, the gradual shift in Earth's rotational axis that takes nearly 26,000 years to complete, long before Greek astronomers discovered it. This suggests astronomical observations spanning many generations, with meticulous record-keeping that would impress even NASA scientists. The lost technologies we're still trying to understand. The precision cutting of massive stone blocks remains one of ancient Egypt's most perplexing technological mysteries. Many blocks fit together with such precision that you can't fit a credit card between them, despite weighing several tons each. Mainstream archaeology suggests they used copper saws with abrasive sand, yet experimental archaeologists struggle to replicate the results. Some stone vessels show evidence of lathe turning, with spiraling tool marks inside narrow-necked vases that would be impossible to create by hand. How did they achieve these results without modern power tools? Either they had techniques we haven't rediscovered, or the ancient Egyptian Home Depot had a much better tool selection than we've been led to believe. While built during the Ptolemaic period, the Lighthouse of Alexandria represented the culmination of Egyptian engineering knowledge. Standing over 330 feet tall, it projected light visible from up to 35 miles away, without electricity. Some historical accounts suggest a complex system of mirrors that reflected sunlight during day and firelight at night, effectively creating the ancient world's most powerful spotlight. Even more impressively, some accounts claim the lighthouse featured a primitive telescope or viewing device that allowed operators to spot ships far beyond normal visual range. While we may never know for certain, thanks to earthquakes that destroyed it, the technical feasibility has been established by modern engineers. This wasn't just a tall building with a bonfire. It was potentially an advanced optical system disguised as architecture. Perhaps strangest of all are the acoustic properties of certain Egyptian structures. The Great Pyramids King's Chamber features unusual resonant frequencies that amplify certain sounds while dampening others. Some temples and chambers demonstrate acoustic properties that create whispering galleries or focus sound in specific locations. Acoustic effects that modern concert halls strive to achieve with advanced computer modeling. Were these acoustic properties accidental, or did Egyptian architects understand sound engineering principles? The consistent appearance of these effects in sacred spaces suggests intentional design rather than happy accidents. Perhaps those elaborate ceremonies weren't just for show. They might have been enhanced by acoustic technology that created impressive sound effects to awe participants. So how did a civilization without modern science textbooks, computers, or power tools achieve such technological marvels? The answer likely lies in their greatest overlooked innovation: institutional knowledge. Egyptian civilization maintained remarkable stability for over 3,000 years, allowing for the gradual accumulation and refinement of knowledge across generations. Their scribal traditions and temple schools preserved and transmitted specialized knowledge, while practical apprenticeship systems ensured hands-on skills weren't lost. Unlike many ancient civilizations that experienced knowledge-destroying collapses, Egypt's relative isolation and political continuity created ideal conditions for long-term technological development. They didn't need aliens or mystical powers. They had something potentially more powerful: institutional memory and time. The technological achievements of ancient Egypt offer important lessons for our modern, innovation-obsessed culture. Patience produces results. Many Egyptian innovations developed over centuries of incremental improvement, a stark contrast to our move fast and break things mentality. Sustainability matters. Egyptian technologies were designed to last, literally for eternity in many cases. Their monuments have survived thousands of years, while our modern structures often have lifespans measured in decades. Observation leads to insight. Without scientific instruments, Egyptians relied on careful observation of natural phenomena, developing deep understanding through generations of watching, recording, and analyzing. Integration beats specialization. Egyptian technologies typically integrated multiple knowledge domains: architecture with astronomy, medicine with chemistry, engineering with religion. This holistic approach produced innovations that might be missed by our highly specialized modern fields. The next time someone asks, "How did they build the pyramids?" you can smile knowingly and say, "That's actually the least interesting question about ancient Egyptian technology." From precision engineering to advanced medicine, from chemistry to astronomy, the ancient Egyptians weren't just pyramid builders. They were innovators whose technological achievements continue to astonish us thousands of years later. Perhaps their greatest technology wasn't any physical tool or technique, but rather their ability to think in time frames that span millennia rather than fiscal quarters. In a world increasingly focused on the next product cycle or viral trend, the lasting legacy of Egyptian innovation offers a powerful reminder. The most impressive technologies aren't always the newest. Sometimes they're the ones that stand the test of time. So the next time you pop an aspirin, check your calendar, or admire precise stonework, remember to thank an ancient Egyptian inventor. They were creating solutions that would last for thousands of years while the rest of humanity was still figuring out how to keep their huts from leaking. Now that's what I call technological disruption. Which ancient Egyptian technology surprised you the most? Drop a comment below. What modern convenience do you think ancient Egyptians would be most impressed by? Or would they just roll their eyes at our innovations? If you could bring one piece of modern technology back to ancient Egypt, what would it be and why?